you like Minecraft, but you suck at building. Well, inside this series, I will be attempting to make really bad builders into really good builders by using my talents, which I have learned from playing Minecraft for years pretty much. In this episode, I will be discussing how exactly to perfect bridges. So let's get right into it. Step 1 is to pretty much pick your area. This area, I would say, is looking pretty good and it honestly needs a lot of bridges. Step 2 is pretty much look at the trees and look at the life and look at the surroundings of the area. As you can tell that this area has a lot of stones, a lot of granites, a lot of oaks, as well as birch woods. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick a palette based on the area around us. So we're going to pick some oak, some birch, some oak planks, some birch planks, stairs, and then slabs of the variants. And we're also going to take a little bit of cobblestone. So for the shape of this bridge, it honestly depends on what exactly you want. So right here, I want a bridge over this little small area of water. I like to have bridges to be 3 apart, so this is technically 3. Overall, this is going to be 5 wide. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have a platform and then we're going to raise it up like so. Just for the hell of it, we're going to add a little bit of oak. Now, bridges can be kind of difficult, especially if you're starting out, don't really know how to do it. But a lot of times there is honestly no wrong way to going just straight across like this. So we're going to just go straight across here and there you got it. You have a pretty simple platform and honestly, it's not looking the best. It could look a heck of a whole lot better. So let's get right into it. For basic bridges, I tend to have the posts or supports be 5 blocks apart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put one right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what I actually tend to do is I tend to just have these posts be up entirely and then I go all the way down. Now you're probably curious on why exactly I'm going straight down. It's mainly for aesthetics. You don't really have to do this, but if you want it to look realistic and look decent, I would say do this. Now it does take a lot of wood. And mind you, you can honestly use what kind of material you want. I'm just doing birch and oak because of the area. Now, a lot of areas will differ. And honestly, with a lot of areas, if you want to use an entirely different palette, you can. But just be aware if you are attempting to make a bridge inside of a cherry biome, you don't want to use something like oak wood or birch wood or acacia wood. It's going to look horrible. But honestly, this is Minecraft, and Minecraft is literally just a game about doing whatever the heck you want to do, whenever you want to do it. So far, this is exactly what it's looking like. So what I did is I just pretty much took these beams all the way down. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take an axe, and I'm going to actually shear. And now shearing is done by right-clicking with any kind of axe. So I'm going to just make these look as if they're decaying because of the water. And now mind you, if you are making a bridge that is above ground, I would still honestly do this because doing so adds a lot of life to the build, as well as it kind of like tells you, hey, this bridge has been here for a bit. And there's nothing wrong at all with showing life has been here for a bit and stuff has decayed. Experiment with it, you might like it. But with this, I'm just randomizing it. Now, I don't really have a set pattern because I kind of feel like with Minecraft, having set patterns is good, but it doesn't really look as well as it should. So I'm going to just right click these and shear them by going up randomly. I would say that looks pretty dang good. So we're going to do this as well over here, because honestly, like inside of real life, wood does actually decay. It takes a while, but wood decays. We're going to just continue there and see, this is what it looks like now. And so we're going to take some of this cobblestone, slabs, cobble walls, as well as stairs. And we're going to use the cobblestone to kind of make arches. Now, this is going to be somewhat controversial because people don't really do this style. I like it. I think it looks really well. And this is actually why I tend to do 5, because it gives you that really cool looking arch. We're going to continue it around here. Now you're probably curious on why exactly I'm doing this pattern for this kind of build. It's just something that I enjoy doing. Now, I do know that every kind of bridge, which I will show you, is entirely different. But with building, you have to have a vision. After you have the vision, you're supposed to execute it, which you want it to be. Now, you're probably curious on how exactly I'm getting these staircases to turn. So I think they added this quite a while ago, but with the staircases, you can actually place them like this, like this, like that, like that. Or if you want to get fancy, you can place them at an angle like so, or like so, or like that. And what I'm doing is when you look at a block, if you want the staircase to place like this, you look at this right there. If you want the staircase to place up, you look at the upper half of the block like that. As well as using like this as an angle. If you want the staircase to look this way, you look at this area of the block and it does that. So hopefully that makes sense. If you're having issues, leave a comment and I will gladly help you. So right now we have this. And now it looks kind of flat. So what I tend to do is I tend to either do that and poke it out like so, or I tend to have the block which I'm using. In this case, I'm using cobblestone and I do that. Now, this looks kind of as if the wood doesn't make sense. So we're going to use oak wood just because it helps it with the flow. In doing so, we can actually add lanterns and other light fixtures after we're done. And now what I like to do is I like to connect these. So as far as like the lower area, I don't really have a set standard, but I tend to kind of go with this block right there, which is technically after that. And all I'm doing is I'm just looking at the build and I'm taking a step back to kind of figure out what exactly I want to add and what exactly looks good. And a little bit of it is just know-how, a little bit of it is just randomization, and a lot of it is just having vision and wanting to execute that vision properly. Now, how do you get the vision? You either get the vision from playing Minecraft for a long time, or you get the vision from looking at the land. I picked this area because it looks as if this area needs bridges. For this, we're going to add fences. And what I tend to do is I tend to use walls, but in this case, I feel like more cobblestone is gonna look weird because that looks way too heavy in cobblestone. If I were to use fences, let's try that really fast. And just for the heck of it, let's try spruce. So this is what it will look like with oak fences. I like that. Birch fences, spruce fences. Now, spruce does look good. It matches with the oak logs, but I don't know. Let me try staircases maybe. And now don't be scared to mess around with different kinds of blocks. Let's try trapdoors. Now trapdoors are really cool because the block itself looks amazing, but the trapdoor, it gives you a little bit of this showing, which I like. I like that, but I feel like it needs to be rounded. So let's try this instead. I feel like that works, but I feel like the color might be off. So spruce is fine. Now, mind you, I'm breaking the rule regarding knowing the land because spruce is not a part of this forest. What we have is primarily oak and birch. Do you see spruce anywhere? You don't. But what I'm doing is I'm matching the colors with other colors. So if you look at this block, spruce complements or looks really good near oak logs. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to continue these slabs over like so. All right, now let's take a step back and see if we enjoy that. I like that personally, but I feel like it's missing something. It definitely gives you a little bit of that arch. Leave a comment saying which design you like better. Do you like this design or do you like that design? Just right now, let's go with just the slabs. All right, so far we have this. Now, it looks good, but it can look better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some oak trapdoors and cover up this area right here. Now you're probably curious on why exactly I'm using oak trapdoors and not something like spruce, because spruce would look better. I'm just using oak because I like the pattern of the oak trapdoor, and this is what we got so far. Where I am inside of this build, I'm inside of the detailing phase. So what I tend to do after I'm done with the build and after I like it, I tend to just go to the build with just either different types of stone variants or different kinds of block types. So I like to add a little bit of mossy cobblestone to builds that have cobblestone inside of them, just because it gives it a little bit of that differential or variety feel. So I'm just going to do that here. Now, if you are doing a build to where it is entirely stone based, feel free to add stuff like diorite, andesite, or granite, or stone, honestly anything. A lot of the stone stuff looks really good together. I feel like a lot of builders, they have hard times branching out and kind of adding variety to builds, but messing around with stuff, it helps. I like that, I like that. So I'm just gonna add these right here as a support beam because a lot of bridges, they have support beams. They have numerous support beams. They either have support beams around the edges or in between. And I tend to go for the in-between ones, but we're gonna see which we like more. Now I feel like it's slightly very heavy with the stone or the cobblestone, so let's see if I can maybe balance that out. What I'm doing here is I'm attempting to incorporate more of the wood types into the build. And what I'm doing is I'm adding a few fences going down to kind of bring all the colors together. And now mind you, if you are doing a build to where it's primarily stones, like let's just say for example this block was changed with stones, I would honestly see whether or not you enjoyed having the walls down there or a different type of wood. So far I'm liking that. I think it looks really well. Let's see if this works right here to kind of break up this right here. That doesn't look bad actually. Never used ladders before, and I'm just gonna add these ladders to just the side where it just has the logs. Now let's see if I can possibly add this to cap that off. Now with trapdoors, it's kind of like the stairs a little bit, to where if you want to place them, you have to be kind of precise with the block. So if I wanted to have the trapdoor place here, I would look at this outer. If I want the trapdoor to place up here, I would look at this area. So that's all I'm doing. I'm looking at the top of the block. I'm not liking the trapdoors because it doesn't really work. So let's remove that and let's place some of that with, and let's alternate the heights. And what I'm doing is I'm just finding ways to break apart from the simple viewed, and I kind of feel like when you give stuff less of a pattern, it looks really good and also appealing to the eye. Now I feel like it's missing a little bit of something else. So let's see if I could possibly make the birch work. And I'm going to be doing that by replacing a little bit of the blocks with, kind of feel like I might have gone way too soft on the randomization. So we're going to just be a little bit more aggressive and not have a set pattern. Because if you have a set pattern, builds like this, and also stuff that has around like organic life, it doesn't look well. Like, I'm pretty sure if I did like a checker pattern for this build, it wouldn't look good, but after a while, you would get sick of looking at it. This kind of, it constrains the eye because the eye trying to find a focal point and there's no focal point. So the eye is kind of like distracted, but also it brings the attention in. For example, when you look at this, your eye is drawn to the platform because of how crazy it looks. Your eyes are not drawn to this, it's drawn to there because first off, it's the middle, second off, because the colors are so out of balance. I like that. Let's see if I can possibly add some trapdoors to give it that little push. Now birch isn't going to work, it's way too light. Oak will work. And I also enjoy having oak trapdoors because it makes it look as if the section of the wood is like decaying and you can see stuff down it. And what I like to do is I like to do that, but it's not going to work for this build. You know, honestly, with building, it's a lot of trial and error. A lot of times you will most likely hate the build which you do, and that's okay because a lot of the builds I do, I dislike and have to redo entirely. It does take a lot of work and it does take a lot of effort to find that perfect build, but after a bit of messing around and experimenting with different kinds of blocks and kind of rediscovering the vision per se, it gets better. So just stick with it. Now let's see if I can make this build look better. And so I'm inside of phase 3. So phase 1 was kind of looking at the area and building it. And then phase 2 was the detailing. So I'm in phase 3, which is adding more of the details. So what I like to do now is I like to pick 1 to 2 sets of leaves and I tend to just put it around it. And what I tend to do is I tend to just put them at random spots, like so. And I don't really have a set location. I just honestly put it wherever. I tend to want bushes and leaves to kind of be like vines because vines climb and I kind of want them to climb. So I tend to just put them honestly wherever. Like this and make them look as if they're drooping. And mind you, you can now actually successfully waterlog leaves. It is a great addition. for builders everywhere. So I think it looks pretty well, but let's see if I can possibly just add a little bit of birch. So mind you, I did say 3 types of leaves earlier. In this build, it's not going to work because right now in this area I have oak and birch. If I did spruce, it would look way too dark. As you can tell right here, let's get some spruce leaves. It looks way too dark. It does not look well with the birch or the oak. So I'm going to just stay with the birch and oak. There you go. And for these land sections, I tend to just do a decent amount, like so. In doing so, just gives it that overgrowth feel, and it kind of gives it of, hey, you know, everything blends well. And also, when you add leaves to builds, if you're using stuff like mossy cobblestone or moss, when you add leaves to it, it looks really well and it complements the area. So, might have gone way too aggressive on that. When I'm adding the leaves, it looks really, really good next to the mossy, just because it has that green, kind of brings it all together. If you do have access to vines and whatnot, feel free to add vines. I just tend to mimic the placement of vines with leaves. It did kind of overtake that natural arch, which I incorporated with the cobblestone. I like it. I might have gone a little bit overboard with the leaves, but honestly, I think it works. It might not work right here, just because it's a lot of them, and it's kind of confusing to the eye, but right now, it works really well. So we're going to just add a little bit right here. The low lichen looks exponentially well around the post, so we're going to do that because it looks a little bit as if it's like barnacles or algae around it, and it does actually give off natural light. So we're going to do that. Now, if you want to go fancy, you totally can. You totally can do like arches like this. You can do arches like that, and you can seal this thing in. I'm not gonna, because this video is just a starter video for just people who are just now discovering Minecraft and they want to make something. And let's also do that. Gives you more of that variety, and I think it looks pretty well. Alright, so that is bridge number 1. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And now a bridge like this, you can use this bridge if you want to go from one area to the next area like this. Like if you want to go from there to there, you can use this bridge. If you wanted to use this bridge going down, that's going to be a different type of bridge. So let's see if I can possibly work with a different area around here. Let's use this right here. So let's just say I want it to go from here to here. So let's just mark this area right here. And now for this one, I'm going to do just a simple 1 wide bridge. And so I'm going to use the same block palette there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just, for right now, I'm just going to use simple oak. So I'm going to put a slab. And now with bridges that you want to go down, I suggest using either stairs or slabs. So let's put a block there, stair there, stair there, stair there, stair. We're putting a slab right here, slab right there, slab right there, staircase, staircase. And we're kind of already inside of the area. But let's just say you want it to be kind of a small slight slope. Well, you would just incorporate a little bit more slabs. So we're going to do staircase right there, slab, slab. That's a full block, so we're going to put a stair. We're going to put another stair, and then we're going to put a slab, 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 staircase. And that kind of gives a little bit of that slight dip. Now let's just say you want to be slightly more aggressive, you totally could. Let's just say you wanted it to be 2 and then 1 and then 2 and then that. And that could technically be your bridge. Now that that does work in this case because it's going from point A to point B. Now, mind you, you're probably saying it doesn't look like a bridge. It's because it looks way too clustered together. So let's see if we can possibly break that out. So we're gonna do that, this, and also that. And now it looks as if it's way too heavy. We're going to see if we can possibly lighten that load by using slabs. And it kind of gives you that rope kind of bridge aesthetic. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to put a log right here, a log right here. And now with rope bridges from point A to point B, they don't really have posts like those do. They tend to kind of hang. So we're going to just put a source right there for them to stay on, and then we're going to push that out a little bit. There we go. And it kind of gives that aesthetic of it's falling, but this area is sketching it. So we're going to do the same thing right there. And now what I like to do, just for security reasons, I tend to want to add fences. So let's see if spruce works. So right there, that works, and it looks really good. So let's continue with that. And I like that a lot. So let's see if we can incorporate a little bit of more of that rope action. So we're going to do this, do that. And doing so kind of gives that more support towards the end. Let's see if we could possibly have the supports kind of hang down more. Make it as if this bridge isn't entirely secure as it should be. So this is technically what I got. So what I did here is I just did spruce fences, and what I did is I did one side go lower after every stair. And so there's a stair here, and so this went down, stair there, that went down, stair there. That technically would go down, but as you can tell right there, it kind of matches up there. And now for this side, I didn't really go down, but what I did here is I just did, a post right here, and then before I hit this staircase, I went down, there I went down. So I kind of did the opposite of what I did there, because right here after a staircase I went down, but over here before a staircase I went down. So it kind of gives that little bit of, it's different, but it's also secure. Like, you can totally use this, it totally works. So we're going to add a little bit more, and I would say this is phase 2. But for detailing, which is phase 3, we're going to make one section or every other sections slightly lower to make it look as if this is very old and it's worn and it's slowly falling apart. So I'm just going to select a fenced area, and I'm just gonna drag it down like so. Now let's see if I can possibly add a little bit of fence gates, kind of break a little part of that. That doesn't really work, but I could use that right there. I could technically use that right there, and I could use that right there. Now fence gates, they blend perfectly with fences, hence the name fence gate. But as far as building goes, it kind of gives you that arch. So sadly enough, that doesn't work anymore. And that would be way too close. We're going to just add a little bit more fence gates to kind of give it that archiness. And what I tend to do with stuff that's pointing down, I tend to add lanterns for different types of glowing stuff. Let's put a lantern right there. Now what you could do, if you really want to get fancy, you could technically take a chain and you could just continue this, going down and giving each lantern a little bit of, height going down. So that looks really well. Let's do the same thing over here. And then we're gonna just place the lantern right there. And we're going to just for the heck of it, we're gonna place a lantern right there. And now mind you, doing so kind of gives it that variety and it gives it light sources. Now let's see if I could possibly go out here and add trapdoors to a little bit of the sections. Now what you could do is you could have totally used trapdoors entirely for this build. This kind of gives a little bit of variety and it makes it look as if this is very old. That doesn't actually work. Let's change that up right there. There we go. I like it a lot. And so that's technically a rope bridge. And now let me see if I can possibly find another one. Now let's just say hypothetically you like this kind of bridge, but you want it to go up. And you like this bridge, but it's not wide enough. So what you could do is, let's just say you want a bridge that is like that, but also like that, but you want to combine the two. So that would technically be calling a step up bridge. And it's actually one of the bridges I struggle with the most. Let's just say, hypothetically, I want to go here to right there. I would do a small bridge like so. And what I'm doing is I'm just mimicking that. So we're going to do stairs. Now, we don't want it to look so aggressive, because if we make it look so aggressive, it's going to look bad and we might not like it. So we're going to do staircase, 3 outs, stairs. So we're going to do stairs, slabs, going 3 outs, 1, 2, 3, and on the third one we're going to place stairs, and then that would be a stair. That's going to basically leave that right there, and as you can tell, it looks not that bad. So we're going to pretty much come back with our beam of choice, which is for this one oak, and we're going to do that. And mind you, you can definitely use any kind of palette for these. I'm just using oak because, as I said before, it looks well with the area, but feel free to explore inside your own world. And if you've made it this far inside the video, and if you're enjoying it, please subscribe for more. Alright, and right here, which would technically be a stair, we're going to add some log. Now, mind you, it looks kind of jonky wonky, so let's attempt to fix that. Let's do one high. They look like platforms, which is kind of what we're going for. And what I like to do is I like to add small arches to break it up. And mind you, these also work as supports. But mind you, they're not going to work for every situation, because as you can tell, you can kind of see the staircase. So, but we'll come back to that in just a second. It's looking better. And what I'm doing is I'm just trying to round out this corner, make it look more aesthetically pleasing, because right now it's not looking the best. All right. So right there, it's looking pretty good. And what I did here is I just did that arch, and then I rounded it out with the trapdoor, and then it kind of gives it that oval feel, but after a bit, it looks more like a sus thingy. And same thing over there, we're going to add these going out. And what I'm doing is I'm just using this one right here as a foundation for these. So I'm going to place one right there, and right there. Well, technically it should be right there to kind of give off that little height. And so that's going to give you a little bit of that height parity. Let's attempt some stone walls really fast and just showcase those. Now, this might not look the best, but I do honestly like the fact that the stone walls, they look really thick, and they look thicker than fences. Honestly, that works pretty dang well, but it's not really looking the best. So let's attempt to do this just for the heck of it. It doesn't blend the best, it blends decently decent. And what I'm doing is I'm attempting to bring in the stone into the build. I like that a lot, actually. But let's see if I can possibly add some height to this. There we go. I'm liking that. For the heighthy ones, let's attempt to add chains. Now, chains are really silly because you can place them like so, but you also can place them like that. So just mess around with the chaininess of the chain. I think that looks really well. Kind of blends a lot of the colors into it. Now let's see if I can possibly add some lanterns. I'm liking that. You can easily walk on this because you have support and it looks really well. And so let's attempt to make this look slightly better. And that's also why there's holes here. And now, if you want to mess with if you have any kind of holes in your build or whatnot that you kind of want to get rid of or make that look a little bit more like chaotically induced or busy, you can add bushes. Bushes definitely, they bring the eye away from it, but also towards it. It depends how you use it. Like everything inside of this world. Let's see, I'm liking that, but let's attempt to bring a little bit of these out and go a little bit overboard with the bushes. But mind you, there's really no way to overboard it because either way it looks really good. And as for the front goes, let's just add some bushes as well. For a bridge like this, I tend to want to decorate the front. So as far as decorating the front goes, I like to do just this. Do this. Now you can do that. It looks really thick, but if you have a medieval city you want to use this build, Using balls looks really good. Like this is a pretty good looking entryway. So let's do that. There we are. And that kind of gives a little bit of the stone. And if you want to get fancy, you can totally do that. But I just tend not to, because it looks way too thick. But you could do that, kind of curve it. What I could do is I could easily alternate with the torches. You could either put them right here, or what you could do is you could alternate. You could do that, this, and then that. There we go. We have a slight incline bridge. We have just a straight bridge, and then we have a rope bridge. So these are just the 3 types of bridges, which I want to try out and show y'all. If this video helped you out in any way, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to see more of this content, let me know by leaving a comment or liking the video. Anyways, thank you for watching. Hopefully this helped you. More to come.